I'll bet that sometime in the last few months, you thought about retirement. You're not alone. A recent study showed that nearly 57% of working adults think about retirement at least once a month. But with all this thinking, we keep working. And I think it's because as we think about it, there's a dialogue in our heads. There's an endless loop of doubt, self-doubt. And these doubts, they're not simple. I mean, these are doubts that are with us in many things that we think about when we think about change, when we think about doing something new. When it comes to retirement, these doubts are, will I have enough money? Do I have enough money? I'm too young to retire. What would I do with myself if I retired? My coworkers need me. This project's important. These doubts, they creep in and they hold us back. They keep us from doing what we really want or what we imagine our retirement could be. And sadly, the root of many of these doubts is ourselves. It's fear. It's fears we have, and it's lies. It's lies we tell ourselves. So today, I'm going to take a look at where these doubts come from, and I'm hoping we can have an honest conversation about what's holding us back. And I'd like to see if I can change some perspectives. Hi, I'm John. I'm 61 years old. And about a little more than 4 months ago, coming up on 5 months now, I retired. And to be perfectly honest, for the few years leading up to my retirement, I had doubts. I had these doubts. I wrestled with them. I thought about them. And trust me, I studied all kinds of ways that I could overcome them. But in the end, it was some decisions, some truths I realized, some things I realized about myself and about where these doubts were coming from that enabled me, they allowed me to take the step that I'm hoping many of you are about to take, have been thinking about taking, but are going to finally make the move. Or maybe you already have and you can share with others what your experiences were. Did you have some of these doubts? So let's get started. The first lie is, I need more than I already have. This is the money doubt, the risk doubt. And it stems from a lie that we tell ourselves that I am what I have, that I need these possessions to define me. It's the risk doubt that if something were to happen and we were to run out of money because we hadn't piled up enough or saved enough, that would be catastrophic. In some cases, I know people who have really plenty of money and they still wrestle with this. They think about it not being enough. They do the math, they do the right things. I did, working with financial planners and thinking about how long the money will last under certain scenarios. And people throw around numbers, is $1 million enough? 1.4 million. I've heard that one quite a few times. I even saw a video the other day that posed the question, is $6 million enough to retire? I kind of hope so. That's more than most of us will probably ever see. But then on the flip side of this, we see people talk about how they retired with, a fraction of that. Some people retire with 500,000 is a number that I see quite a bit, 250,000. I worry a little bit about people who say they retire with absolutely nothing, and not everybody is able to, meet the numbers, that perspective, the way we all hope we can. But what are they doing that the rest of us aren't getting? Well, certainly simplification, right? So cutting back on things, understanding that, we'll never have enough. And I guess that's one way to look at it. You can always come up with a risk because the reality is there's no amount of money that takes away all the risk. And I'm not talking about, I get that we need money. I get that we have bills to pay and expenses. Certainly as we age, there's going to be health concerns and healthcare costs. But at some point, there's just the truth that those things slip away. The amount of money we have will dwindle. our possessions are going to disappear and disintegrate over time. But what we really have and will always have is our spirit and our resilience to keep moving forward. And I think the folks who figure out how to make this happen, how to retire, even if they don't have the millions of dollars that some of us believe we need to have, it's because they found a belief in themselves. They found a faith that they could make this work. And there's a few ways to do it. I've talked about these. So some folks, like I said, dramatically change their lifestyle. So they may ultra simplify their lives, cutting down, relocating, moving to parts of the world that are less expensive, doing a lot more on their own, but not thinking about themselves as that pile of possessions or pile of money, but about the adventures they can have. And it's just, again, it's overcoming that fear. It's thinking about a new way of looking at this. Again, I've known people with plenty of money and they still feel the risk. And it's fascinating. I even know one person who has really plenty of money and who did retire, but the amount of time they spend worrying about their money and whether their money is going to run out, I kind of wonder sometimes if they're enjoying their retirement. The other thing that's happening now is we see, and this is coming from financial companies, and I understand why, but basically telling us that they're putting up stories about people who retired early and now regret it. But honestly, I think we've got too much focus on this. I think we're really at a point in this country where we need to come to grips with the fact that a lot of people are never going to have the kind of money we're talking about, especially the generation, folks that are watching this, 55, 50s, 55, so many that don't have anywhere near the savings that we're talking about that people are saying we need. That notion that there's nothing we can do about it except keep working a little longer. It's a little misguided. These are my opinions, and I don't begrudge anyone if they're really concerned and maybe they've seen challenges that lead them to believe that running out of money is the worst thing that can happen. I'm not going to tell anyone what they should or shouldn't be afraid of, but I'm going to say we all wrestle with this. I thought about it a lot, and I decided if I was going to worry about whether I had enough money all the time, that I was probably never really going to be happy. So at this point, I think I have enough. I believe that, with what I know, my experiences, my resilience, things that I can create, things that I'm capable of, that I'll find it. It's being in a flow, being in a state where even if things change, I know I can create more. I think that takes away some of the feelings of risk, some of the feelings of doubt. So that's where we're at with this one. So I think enough said on that. Time to move on. The next doubt, the next lie we tell ourselves is that our work gives us purpose, and that if we leave our job, we'll lose our purpose. And I know that can sound strange to some folks, but I have to say honestly, as I've talked to more and more people who think about retiring, I've actually encountered quite a few who think this way. They say things like, "I'll never retire. I need my work to keep me busy. I need my mind to stay active." And this comes from the core lie we tell ourselves is, I am what I do. And that if I'm not busy, if I'm not working or keep doing that, well, then I'm not, and I don't have a purpose. What am I here for? So, and again, I can't say to the extreme that I'm describing I thought about this, but honestly, that dialogue in my head, there were times when I looked at my job and thought, this isn't so bad. There's things I contribute, the things I like, and what would I do with my day anyway? Especially when I was in my 50s. I think when I was younger, in my 30s and 40s, I didn't think about this as much, but when I got into my 50s, those thoughts of retirement crept in. I even remember having conversations with people bringing up the topic of retirement, and people have just looked at me and said, but what would you do? You're young. Why would you retire now? And It's a good question, but I think I figured it out. I probably put this off a little too long, longer than I really wanted to. But I think what changed was the more I thought about this, what would my purpose be? I remembered that, our work is how we make a living, but our purpose is how we make a life. And so honestly, the notion that our purpose comes from that job that pays us, it's a doubt that hopefully we can let go, because in reality, retirement, and a thing that I've learned since I retired, is when you spend some time not attached to that work, that way of making a living, you really do find a new purpose. You find ways to share what you know. You find ways to engage with others and help them. And you find ways to make a living from things that the world needs, that people need. Not just a day in, day out job that you think is creating purpose, but from actual personal actions, from sharing that are really quite rewarding and fulfilling. So again, it's not your job that gives you purpose. You have a purpose. You just need to look for it and find it. And honestly, retiring, stepping away from that career that you thought gave you purpose, is amongst the best ways I can think of to find it. And that leaves us with, the third doubt, the third lie that we tell ourselves, is that I can only prove my value by what I achieve. This is a big one in our jobs, in our corporate world, but I think in our lives in general. We're taught pretty early on that those who achieve something, that they're contributing, right? And if you don't achieve something special, well, then you're not. And the reality is, I think most of us are just doing what we can. So this notion that we have to achieve something to prove ourselves to others is really misplaced. So especially if you're younger and you're thinking about retiring, you may feel like people are going to look at you funny, like you retired young, you gave up, right? You're no longer interested in achieving things. And again, I have friends colleagues who really get into this. They look at their work life as a place that they can, prove their value, show that they're able to do, big things. They're proving themselves to senior management. They're showing their colleagues how valuable they are. I've seen people just get so incredibly worked up, and some positive, some negative, right? So about what they managed to accomplish and the rewards they got, right? They did a good job, so they got a new title, they got a better office, a little bit more money. And I think, again, these are things we tell ourselves. I mean, the system tells us what our role is. It tells us that achievement is what defines us. But the reality is, only we can define ourselves. Only we can choose what we are and what we want to be. And it just boils down to those questions of, what are you really at your core? I think some of those things, again, when I retired, leading up to retirement, I struggled with this. And then certainly I talked about it in an earlier video, when I thought about, even after those first few months when I was retired, that looking around, looking at yourself and thinking, what am I doing? Is this what I am? But as I said in the earlier one, we find new ways to define ourselves. We choose a new path. And once we go through that door and walk down that path, life is just so much more rewarding. Our achievements just fade into the past, those things that we thought we accomplished. I mean, my life is full of big projects, things that other people said couldn't be done at work, challenges that others didn't want to take on. And, I look back and I think, I'm not sure what I was trying to get there. But now as I look at it, it was this sense that achievement was making me special. Achievement was making me something that others would admire. And honestly, it's just a waste. I think that now, again, more than ever, coming out here on a day like this, taking a little walk and talking to you is about all that I really and truly want at this time. Oh, I found a bench here. So, all right. So, well, with that, I'm going to take a little pause and just sort of look around and look at the beauty of this. What a day! White snow everywhere. It's a little crunchy underfoot. I hope that wasn't too noisy, but I want to just take a moment to say, thanks for watching. This channel has just been such a great adventure where talking with folks, sharing these perspectives, sharing these opinions. So I'm not sure if today changed your perspective, but I just did want to say that when my perspective changed a lot when I retired. So much of what I did, so much of what I was wrapped up in, what I thought I was tied to nearly 4 decades of work. And when I get days like this, it's the middle of the week. I'd be I'd be working right now just to get out and enjoy this part of life and realize that I don't need complexity. I don't need a bunch of stuff. I'm finding a new purpose. It's just fabulous, and I wish that for all of you. Um, so again, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this changed your perspective, but I hope it did. I hope you'll take that step. As always, thanks. This is a great community. I've enjoyed having folks chime in on this. So I just love to hear from all of you. Did you have doubts when you thought about retiring? If you've already retired, how did you overcome them? I think we can help others. And if you're thinking about retirement, if you're one of those people who's thinking about it every month but haven't taken the step, what's holding you back? Is it one of these doubts? Is it something else? I know a lot of folks I hear in the comments say, certainly money weighs heavy. But like I said, I think there's other folks, and get out and explore, and you'll find that people are figuring this out, and that's all we can all do is just do our best to figure it out and keep going. So with that, just remember that with each new beginning comes endless possibilities. Have a great day.